Hi friends, this is Mahesh Kamath here, co-founder of LearnPriceActionTrading.com, also referred to as LPAT. At LPAT, we trade using a very simple, rule-based yet very effective trading strategy based on only price action. Our aim at LPAT is to train aspiring traders and investors on how to use this strategy effectively to achieve success in their trading and investing journey. So the beauty of this strategy is it is applicable across asset classes and across time frames. So if you're a commodities trader, if you're a stock trader or a futures trader, same strategy, you don't have to learn anything different. And also, uh, it works on all time frames. So if you're a trader who's trading for intraday, or a swing trader, positional trader, or an investor, the same strategy is going to be applicable. Only thing that would change is the time frames that you look at. So in this session, friends, I'm going to cover stock market basics. So this is going to be handy for very new traders who have no clue about what is a stock market and what are the basics of stock market. So this session is very handy for those who are going to be new to the markets. So what are we going to cover in this session? The topics that we are going to talk is what is a stock exchange? How does a stock exchange function? What is a stock market index? What is bull versus a bear market? Difference between fundamental and technical analysis. What's a long position? What's a short position? What's a candlestick chart? Key elements of a trade setup. And finally, the all important concept of reward to risk ratio. So what's a stock exchange? Stock exchange is a place where people can buy and sell shares of public listed companies. The way we have a market for any goods or commodities, like we have a market like a vegetable market where vegetables are bought and sold. Similarly, there is a market for stocks. Public listed companies list their shares on that exchange, and traders and investors can buy and sell those shares on that exchange. The most active stock exchanges in India are National Stock Exchange, which is also called NSE, and Bombay Stock Exchange, which is called BSE. So both these exchanges are regulated by Securities and Exchange Board of India, also called as SEBI. So how does the stock exchange work? So the trader first places the order with the broker. Broker would send this order to the exchange. Exchange searches for an opposing order to match. That means if you are placing an order to buy at a specific price, exchange will look for someone who's ready to sell to you at that specific price, and vice versa. So once that matching happens, the exchange confirms to the broker that the order has been confirmed. The broker then communicates the same to the trader and the order is complete. This entire process, which earlier was a manual process, now is entirely computerized, which takes less than milliseconds for the entire transaction to take place. So if you want to trade in the stock markets, you need to have an account with one of the brokers. What is a stock market index? A stock market index is a tool to measure the performance of a stock market. It is computed from the prices of selected stocks which form the index. So whenever someone is referring what is the market doing, is the market bullish, is the market bearish, generally people are referring to this index. It is a tool that is used by investors, traders, and financial managers to describe the market and to compare the return on specific investments. So if you want to see, are you beating the market? That means, is your portfolio or is your account doing better than what the index has performed? So the stock market index itself cannot be traded. Instruments such as the derivatives, the futures, options, or you have the exchange traded funds, the ETFs can be traded. So there are so many stocks on the stock market which are listed, but not all stocks comprise the index. So index is comprised of generally the heavyweights, the large cap stocks. So two main stock indices followed in India are, one is Nifty 50. It is the National Stock Exchange index. which is also called Nifty 50. It represents the weighted average of 50 leading Indian company stocks from varied sectors. The index for Sensex, the Bombay Stock Exchange, is Sensex, which is computed based on 30 leading stocks. So what is a bull market? You must have heard the term, people saying the markets are bullish or the markets are bearish. A bull market is a phenomenon where there is a bias towards upward prices. Prices are rising. Overall market is an uptrend. So this phase is referred to as a bull phase. And the reason it is called a bull phase is because the way the bull attacks. Bull will attack with its horns and moving it upwards. So that's why the upward direction is referred to as a bull market. And what's a bear market? Bear market is a phase where the bias is towards downward prices. Prices are moving down. Overall market is in a downtrend. And it is also how the bear attacks. Bear will attack with its paws downwards. So that's why the term bear market. So when it comes to arriving at a good value area or a good price to buy, people either use fundamental analysis or technical analysis to arrive at the right price to be a buyer or a seller. So these are always at the opposite ends of the spectrum. Both are used for researching and forecasting future trends in stock prices. So like any investment strategy or philosophy, both have their advocates and adversaries. So this debate can go on and on. Which is better? Is fundamental analysis better or is technical analysis better? So what is fundamental analysis? Fundamental analysis mainly involves study of the financial ratios. So what do people do? Go through the balance sheets, study the financial ratios of the company and try to arrive at value areas to be a buyer or to even assess whether the stock is a good stock to buy or not. But fundamental analysis, if you want to do it thoroughly, is very difficult for a single individual to do. So generally it is done by a team of fundamental analysts, wherein they go through a lot of data. They go and meet the companies, meet their vendors, meet their customers, try to look at the macroeconomic scenario, look at the microeconomic scenario. So a lot of analysis is done in this case. So generally what any individual would do is just rely on the report which is published by this fundamental analyst. So go through that report and try to assess the health of the company. But then friends, when you are relying on a report or a balance sheet which is produced by someone else, there is always a chance that that data may not be accurate. And in the past, there have been instances where a lot of balance sheets have been manipulated. So always that iota of doubt is there in the mind. Am I following something which is actually true? So when it comes to trading, we at LPAT don't do any fundamental analysis. Our area of expertise is technical analysis. So when I say I don't do any fundamental analysis, doesn't mean that I will trade any stock. So there are certain criteria basis on our technicals wherein we screen for stocks. We will try to find the good stocks. So these screening parameters generally gives us good fundamental, good scripts. But as a trader, I have traded so many stocks wherein I even don't know what that company is doing. If I want to hold a position for a few hours or few days, I'm not bothered about the fundamentals. But yes, if you're a long-term investor, you want to hold this share for a multiple number of years, then I would say yes, you may need to know the fundamentals of the company, and then you can use technicals to time your entries into those scripts. So what is technical analysis? Technical analysis is a methodology for forecasting the direction of stock prices through the study of past market data, mainly price and volume. So conventional technical analysts generally rely on some indicator or oscillator. So you must have heard the terms like RSI, MACD, stochastics, ADX. This list is endless. You can go on and on. So you may, the widely known ones would be 100, but the number will exceed way beyond 500, the indicators that are available. So when you have 500 odd indicators available, always there is a dilemma in the trader's mind. Which is the best possible indicator? So a trader goes around in circles just trying to find the holy grail in trading, to find the best possible indicator. So for that, one needs to backtest all the indicators, then forward test, actually trade on them. So this period, which I also have gone through, trying to find the holy grail in trading, to find the best possible indicator. But I did not find good enough success in trading based on indicators. So that's when I realized, why not try to read price? Since all these indicators are derived from price, better to learn price action. Price action is always going to give you a leading signal. Indicators will always lag. So as price action traders, what do? We just look at simple plain price charts and try to assess areas where institutions are participating, where institutions are buying and where the institutions are selling. So if we know the key areas where an institution is buying, all we need to do is buy along with that institution. If you know the area where an institution is selling, we wait for price to come back to that area and we also sell along with that institution. But the key is how to understand where institutions are buying and selling. So our strategy revolves around that. Trying to identify institutional footprints and understand areas where institutions are buying or selling. So some traders may look at charts in this manner with multiple indicators on one chart, trying to wait for a confluence of signals, then only they will take action. So in this case, if you have so many indicators on a chart, you are missing the essence, that is called price action. Hardly you can see price, the major area on the chart is covered because of the indicators. So how do we look at charts? We don't have any indicators on our charts. So in this case, we can see price action in a pronounced manner. This helps us in our analysis. So we'll just go through what's a long position and what's a short position. A long position is a position where the trader has a bullish bias. Bullish bias means he's expecting that prices will move up. So in this case, what does the trader do? He first buys something. His act of opening the trade is buy. So he's waiting for price to come at 100 rupees. That's his entry point. Buys at 100 rupees, expecting price to move up to 140, which is his target. He sells the shares when it reaches his target. So act of opening the trade is buying, act of closing the trade is selling. So in this case, he locks in a profit of 40 rupees. So this is how most traders get into stock markets, is via long position. So in a long position, there is no restriction on time. You can hold the position as long as you want. And there is no restriction on quantity. If you are in the equities market, minimum that you have to do is buy one share in cash or equities. So depending on your risk appetite, you would decide how many shares to be buying. So long position is created when a trader has a bullish bias. Now let's look at the short position. Short position is a mirror image. In this case, the trader or the investor has a bearish bias. He's expecting prices to fall down. So in this case, his act of opening the trade is selling. He will sell first, sell at 140, buy back at 100, still make a profit of 40 points. So act of opening the trade is selling, act of closing the trade is buying. But the question that comes to a lot of new traders' mind is, if I don't own the shares of the company, how can I sell them? So here the mechanism that works is called short selling. You will be borrowing those shares from your broker. The broker lends you those shares. You can sell those shares, buy back and return it back to your broker. But there is a restriction to this, friends. This entire cycle needs to be completed intraday, within the same day. You cannot carry forward your short position in equities, in cash market. So intraday shorting is possible. So the broker will give you a list of stocks where shorting mechanism would work. So the highly liquid stocks generally you can short. So, but what if you want to short for overnight? You are expecting a big move coming to the downside based on your analysis. How do you participate in that move? So for that case, you have to use derivatives. So you'll have to short in futures or options. So let's get to what is a candlestick chart, since all our analysis is going to be based on candlestick charts. We use Japanese candlestick charts. There are various forms of charting available. Don't look at that. So for our strategy, you'll have to focus on Japanese candlestick charts. So candlestick chart is made up of red and green candles. Generally, people keep that color. Some people can even change the color as per their preference. By default, it is a red and green candle. Each candle is formed because of the ongoing supply and demand relationship. So why is it called a candlestick chart? Because the way it represents, it looks like a candle. Candlestick charts can be viewed on various time frames. So any time frame that is the daily chart and above that. So above daily means daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly. All these time frames are called end of day time frames. And anything less than daily, that means if you want to see what's happening on every 5 minutes during the day, or if you want to see what's happening every 15 minutes or every 60 minutes, these are intraday time frames. So intraday can be anything less than daily. So one daily candle will tell you what's happened on that entire day. But when you want to have a microscopic view, what happened during that day at different timings, you can go to the intraday time frame. What is a weekly candle? A weekly candle is constructed basis on the activity of 5 daily candles. You have 5 trading days in a week. So 5 trading days would make one weekly candle. So that's why technical analysis is fractal in nature. So what you can apply on one time frame will work on all time frames. So as a trader, which time frame you should refer to depends on your purpose of trading. So what is this candlestick chart? Any candlestick chart is going to reflect only 4 price points. So what is that? Open, high, low, and close for a particular period. So if you are viewing a daily chart, each candle will depict the open, the high, the low, and close for that particular day. So what is a range of a candle? A range is the high price minus the low price of the candle. The high minus the low tells you the absolute range of the candle. And what's body of the candle? Body is the difference between the close and the open, the absolute values. So where did the candle close and what was the open price? You subtract the close from the open, you will have the real body of the candle. So some candles are red, some are green. So why the body is red and green? The color of the body is a function of where the candle closes with respect to the opening price. So if the closing price of a candle is greater than the opening price, so in this case, the candle opened low, closed higher, that's why you have a green candle. Here in the red candle, the candle opened high, closed low, that's why you have a red candle. So color is decided where the candle closes with reference to the open price. So let's have a look at some chart. So here on my screen, you are seeing the chart of Reliance Industries. And the software that I'm using is tradingview.com. So Reliance 1D, that stands for daily chart. Each candle is for 1 day's price action. So the current candle of 10th August is still in formation. The day hasn't ended. So to have any analysis on a candle, you should wait for the candle to be complete. So this will get complete today at the end of the day. I'm recording this session in the morning around 11 o'clock. So by 3:30, this candle would close. Let's refer to the previous candle, 7th August. So can you see this candle is green in color? And you need to refer to this values at the top where I am moving my cursor. So if I take the cursor to the candle, it tells me what is the open, the high, the low, and the close of that particular candle. So this candle opening price was 2129.8 and it closed at 2146.45. C stands for close. So it closed higher roughly by 17 points. That's why the candle is green in color. And what is the range of this candle? Is the high price minus the low price. So the high is H stands for high 2157.8 minus low, L stands for low 2120. So the range of this candle is roughly 37.60 paise. If you move your cursor to the next candle, which is the red candle, you can get the coordinates of that particular candle. So this candle is red in color. Why? Because the closing price should be below the opening price, then it will be red. Let's check. The open was 2157. The close was 2134, a lower close by about 23 points. That's why it's a red candle. So irrespective of which time frame you are watching, same rules are applied. Color of the candle is decided basis of open to close. I can shift time frames here. W stands for weekly chart. M stands for a monthly chart. And 5 minutes is the interval. Now I'm watching an intraday chart. What's happening every 5 minutes? So every 5-minute candle is telling me what is the open, high, low, close of that particular 5-minute candle. So whatever time frame you are referring to, you will get values of that particular time frame. So in our analysis, all we need to know is only what is the range of the candle, what is the body of the candle. We don't get into complex analysis, trying to name candlestick patterns, what is the formation of that candle? No. So just we need to know these 4 price points: open, high, low, close. What is the range? What is the body? And all our analysis is based on that. So before we take any trade, we need to know these 3 key elements. What's my entry price? What's my stop loss? And what's the target for my trade? But most new traders only focus on the entry element. They don't have an exit plan. Where to exit the trade, they don't know. So we don't trade in that manner. Before we enter a trade, we need to know where we are going to enter. If the trade doesn't work in my favor, it goes against me, where will I exit? That's known beforehand. And also if it goes in my favor, where should I book out? I know my target beforehand. So let's take an example here. So let's say I'm looking at a long position. I want to be a buyer. And I'll draw one line for the target. So let me put some price points. This is 1000. Lower line 980. And let's say this is 1100. And CMP, current market price. CMP stands for current market price of that stock is 1020. So you're waiting for price to come down to your entry point. So when price comes down to 1000, how do you identify this entry point? That is basis of your analysis. We'll teach you how to identify good entry points where institutions are participating. So 1000 becomes the entry element. But most traders after this don't know how to manage the trade. So after you buy at 1000, there are multiple possibilities. Stock can just do nothing, remain in that range, or it can start moving against you, start falling down, or it can start moving in your favor. So as a trader, you cannot control the outcome of this trade. Only thing that is in your control is where to cut your loss. If this trade goes against me, where can I cut my loss? So I can only control the risk on this trade. So on the stop loss is the only element in a trader's control. But most traders have a notion that stop losses are always hit. It always takes our stop loss and then moves to target. That's, friends, because you may not be putting the stop loss in the right area. So most traders use percentage mechanism. Someone would use 0.5% from entry price. Someone would say 1% from entry price. Someone would say 2% from my entry price will be my stop loss. But that kind of a stop loss is a monetary stop loss. It is as per your risk tolerance. So the markets don't know your risk tolerance. So stop losses should not be put basis on the risk tolerance. It should be a technical stop. If that level is breached, the technical setup should fail. So we'll teach you what is a technical stop, where you need to place your stop loss basis of institutional activity. So let's say after you've entered, stock starts moving down, coming very close to your stop loss. Now it is very close to the stop loss, not hit your stop loss. This is where a new trader panics. Always there's a temptation to lower my stop. Instead of 980, let me lower it down to 970. Let me give it some more room. What if it comes down and then moves up? So in this case, then you are only trading on hope, hoping that price will move. So we never loosen our stops. We'll always tighten the stop. It has to move in the direction of the trade. So don't get tempted to move stop losses because this is decided on a technical point beforehand. So stick to your stop loss. I know you require a tough mindset to do this, and but this is the only element in your control. Otherwise, you have to keep lowering your stops, and so many stocks have never come back to entry prices. You'll see a lot of good stocks which were once the darling of the stock market today are nowhere. So you'll be just sitting on, holding on to positions, only praying for one thing: let it come back to break even and I'll exit. If you're lucky, you get a break even exit after waiting for a long time. So as a trader, cut your loss, exit it. But why is it so difficult to take the stop loss? Is because the way we have been conditioned in our day-to-day activities. Let's say in our job or a profession, someone has given you 10 tasks to do. And if you are wrong 5 times, is it accepted? It's not going to be accepted there, right? So we are used to having 80-90% success in our day-to-day activities. But when it comes to trading, if you see realistically, you are going to be wrong out of 10 at least 4 to 5 times. You are going to be right only 5 to 6 times. That means your strike rate would be between 50 to 60%. So now you must be wondering, how can a person make money if he's going to be wrong half the number of times? So friends, as a trader, new trader, everyone makes the mistake of focusing on strike rate. I want to be right 8 to 9 times out of 10 times. Trust me, no trading system would give you that. Yes, 60% is achievable. You need to focus on something called reward to risk ratio, which is the next concept which we are going to discuss. So you need to know where you're cutting the trade. If it's moving against you, that's called your stopping point, stop loss. The term itself is self-explanatory: stop the loss. This is the cost of doing your business. So as a trader, you have to make peace with your stop loss. Small stop losses is part of your trading strategy. Now, stock starts moving in your favor and reaches your target. But if you don't know where to exit, always there is greed coming in. You will expect that price will keep rising and I will hold on to the stock. It can go up all the way to 1500. You don't have any technical target. And if you don't book out a technical target, a stock that was giving you money may turn back and finally stop you out. So in profit also, you need to know where to exit. So that is what we need to know, our target. So as traders, how do we decide our stop, entry and target? Is all basis on our institutional buying and selling zones. We identify these zones beforehand. So when we buy at an institutional buying zone, we will try to sell before it reaches the institutional selling zone. If we are selling at a selling zone, we will cover our position before it reaches the buying zone. So do not initiate trades without knowing these 3 elements. Entry is the act of opening a position in the market. With a good entry point, we stand to make larger gains. We can minimize our risk and we can enhance the probability of the trade working in our favor. Why does the probability work in our favor? Because we participate in areas where institutions are participating. Exit is the act of closing a position in a market sometime after entry. Amateur traders always focus on the entry and never plan a proper exit, which is often overlooked. So a proper exit needs to be pre-planned and disciplined. Exit can be for a profit or it can be for a loss. If you're exiting for a profit, that means your target is met. If you're exiting for a loss, your stop loss is hit. Stop loss is the most critical element of any trade. It's the only element which a trader can control to an extent. It's an order to exit the trade for a predefined loss. The term is self-explanatory. It's an order which is used to protect the trader from suffering a huge loss. Stop loss is cost of doing business. So your stop loss is your difference from your entry price to the stopping point is the risk of the trade. That's called risk. And target is an order to exit a position for a predefined gain. Beforehand, you are deciding, okay, if price reaches here, I will exit my position. Target helps in measuring the reward portion of a trade. Trading without a target is like shooting in the dark. A trader should know beforehand where to exit in profit. But as a trader, yes, you can have multiple targets for a single trade. That is called scaling out of your position. Book partial at target 1, trail till target 2, that's all possible, part of trade management. Now, most important concept of reward to risk ratio. This is the make or break in your trading. So what is reward to risk ratio? So in this example, the trader wants to buy at 100 rupees and is placing a stop loss at 95 rupees. So if he buys one share, he stands to lose 5 rupees if the trade goes against him. So his risk portion is 5 rupees. On the other hand, his target identified is 120. So if price reaches his target, there is a potential gain of 20 rupees, 120 minus 100. You stand to make a reward of 20. So what is the reward to risk ratio in this case? It's the reward portion divided by the risk portion. 20 divided by 5. The reward to risk ratio is 4:1. So friends, now you get your answer, right? Even by just being right 60% of the times or 50% of the times, how can you make money? Is when you have healthy reward to risk ratios. So focus should be on having healthy reward to risk ratio. So we will never initiate positions where the reward to risk ratio is 1:1. We don't take those trades. Whenever we look for a trade setup, we at least see that the chart should offer us minimum 3:1 reward to risk ratio. Otherwise, we do not take the trade. So when you're right, make big, make huge amounts. When you're wrong, lose small. So this is the recipe for success in trading. Control your losses and ride your gains. So with this, friends, I have completed the basics of stock market. So I hope this comes in handy for the new traders and investors. And to know more about our trading strategy, you can visit our website, learnpriceactiontrading.com, and also register for one of our webinars. Thank you so much.